Good morning. Good morning. Again, so nice to see a full house. Love it. So how many of you have read The Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz? I knew a lot of you would have done that. Excellent book. If you haven't read it, I wholeheartedly recommend it. And, you know, there was a little confusion, which I caused this month because Lynn, as you know, Lynn and Cindy work on the newsletter, and Lynn does really hard work making it fit the theme and of the month. And last year, when I first started coming to you every couple of weeks, I gave them a list of themes for a year. But you know, when we got to the end of the 12 powers, something in my head went, okay, we're done with my themes, and it's time to pick something else. And I just thought, I just put the feelers out there, like, what's up? And I thought, you know, it's time for a refresher for me for the Four Agreements, and I think it probably is for somebody else too. So that's where we're going. So I send my article for the month to Lynn, and she writes back and says, you know what, I'm already almost done with the newsletter, and you gave me this theme. What's love got to do with it was what I gave. Because it's February, right? And it's Love Month. So I'm just going with, this is the message I got right now, and absolutely it all fits together, and it does. I mean, love is about everything, right? So it's about, what's love got to do with it? Everything, right? So, and I also said to Lynn, no one's going to notice the inconsistency except you and me. How many of you read the newsletter this month, and how many of you noticed there was a big, see, I knew it. So back to the Four Agreements. In his book, Don Miguel Ruiz gave us a simple and practical code by which to live. I am always in awe of the simplicity of this and how it pretty much covers everything. And there have been times in my life when I've had a little card with the Four Agreements on it and carried it around with me and looked at it several times a day. There have been times I posted it on my office door. There have been times I put it in front of me on my computer, because it's just so helpful to remember these things, and especially if you look at them at a little bit of depth and exactly what he's saying about these things. So today we're talking about the first agreement, which is be impeccable with your word. But let's just look at what the other ones are for right now, just to remind you. The second one is don't take anything personally. Don't make assumptions, and always do your best. So the first agreement, be impeccable with your word. Ruiz says that this is the most important of the agreements. And the reason is because this is the one that gives you the power to create. John 1:1 says, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. So it's through the Word that everything is manifest. Reese further says that the Word is not just a sound or a symbol, but it's a force. It has power. That's what the song said. That's what the video said. That's what the song said. I love when all these things fit together, Lynn. Thank you so much. That's what it's all saying to us. The word is a force, a power. It gives you the means to express and communicate and think, and therefore it's through your word that you create your life. Your word is actually the I am. The interesting thing about these words, I am, is that they are complete in themselves. I am needs no explanation. It just says, I am. I'm here. Now. I exist. But the minute you add anything to I am, you create something. You affirm something very powerfully. And you affirm your very being in the state that you are in right now. I am tired. I am hungry. I am strong. I am angry. I am sick. I am happy. You set your word on a track that defines your very nature when you say, I am. Our word is so powerful that we can plant seeds of fear or of love with them. If you take an example of a man like Hitler, we see that he sent out all of those seeds of fear with his words. And they grew and grew and became massively destructive. Seeing how powerful the word is, we have to pay attention to what comes out of our mouths, don't we? One seed of doubt or fear planted with our words can lead to a whole string of dramatic events. Just one word, as the song said, planted in the mind. Say you have been led to believe that you're stupid. I didn't know I did not see the words to this song, I promise you. Say that you have been led to believe you're stupid. If you agree that you're stupid, this one word will inform everything you say and do about yourself. And you will do a lot of things to ensure and support the idea that you are stupid because you believe it. Ruiz says that you can change this just by something that changes your mind and you believe that you aren't stupid. You simply make a new agreement with yourself. Because he says our whole life is made up of agreements. And once you make this agreement, then you no longer act or speak as if you're stupid. I think I may have told some of you that I used to believe, for years, I believed that I was grouchy when I woke up. I really believed it. I was grouchy. So for about an hour or so, maybe two, after I first woke up, I literally, probably from the time I was a teenager into maybe my 40s, believed I was a grouch when I woke up and that, everybody should just steer clear of me because I would just bite their head off if they spoke to me early in the morning. So I went about my life believing I was a grouch in the morning. And somewhere in my 40s, I think, and I was already by then into New Thought, I suddenly realized that this was a story that I had created and that I did not have to be grouchy in the morning. And so I just decided I'm not going to be grouchy in the morning. And guess what? I was never... Well, I won't say I was never grouchy in the morning. I have a grouchy morning now and then, but I have a grouchy evening or a whole grouchy day, but it doesn't have anything to do with waking up. So this first agreement says that you should be impeccable with your word. What is impeccability? The word impeccable comes from a root word that is Latin that means sin. So if you're impeccable, you are without sin. And in Unity, we believe that sin is error thinking. Ruiz says that if you're impeccable, it means that you don't go against yourself. That sin means you're going against yourself. Think about it. If we're made in the image and likeness of God, and we're sinning and have error thinking about that, we are definitely going against ourselves, being created in the image and likeness of God. So it makes a lot of sense. He says you go against yourself when you judge or blame yourself. And when you're impeccable, you don't go against yourself. You don't judge or blame. You take responsibility for your actions, but you're not judgmental toward yourself. He takes a step even further. He says that if I see you in the street and I call you stupid, I'm using my word against you. But because I'm sending out poison energy to you, I'm using it against myself also. But if I love myself, I express myself in ways and interact in ways that show love. And I'm being impeccable with my word. The big thing we have to remember about our word or the word of others is that when we hear an opinion and believe it, we make an agreement. And it becomes part of our belief system. And because of this, he calls gossip a kind of black magic. He says that we actually cast spells with our word when we gossip. We curse each other every day. We spend most of our lives truly listening to people, starting with our parents, and pretty much everyone we know, talking about other people our whole lives, as if that's all there is to talk about. Everyone has an opinion about everything. I know I do. I have an opinion about everything. They even have opinions about people they don't even know. How many times a day do we hear or read about someone making a statement as if it's pure fact, when in reality they're just guessing? It's a story they've made up to an unanswered question, and often the question itself is none of their business. How often have we been guilty of this? I'm sorry to say that gossip has become the main form of communication in our society today. But in reality, gossip can be compared to a computer virus. This gossip virus is inserted to your thinking without you even knowing it most of the time, and when you least expect it. And after it's inserted, your thinking and actions and your word may not be quite right. Have you ever had someone new appear in your life at work or in your neighborhood? And you haven't met them yet, but before you can meet them, someone else who knows them from before, who met them before you, comes up and says something like, well, I guess he's okay, but he seems a bit arrogant. And then perhaps some part of you believes this person. And you don't even realize that when you're introduced to the new person, you're seeing them through the filter of this other person's opinion. And if you start talking in the same way to someone else about this new arrogant person, the next thing you know, you have a new person who's having a problem fitting into their new situation. And it's all caused by the gossip virus. Creating this kind of an environment is not about being impeccable with your word. And unfortunately, there are those people out there who intentionally set up this kind of environment. And there's another way we can fail to be impeccable with our word, and that's the way we talk to ourselves. When we say things like, I look fat, I'm so ugly, I'm getting old, I'll never be good enough, and on and on and on, we say things to ourselves we would never say to other people. We are then using our word against ourselves. The highest form of human intelligence is to observe yourself without judgment. I dare you. We can measure the impeccability of our word by our quality of our self-love. Once we understand what our word is and what it does, we can better understand the first agreement and what it means to be impeccable with our word. Then we can see how doing this can lead to big changes in our life. First, in the way you deal with yourself, and then with others. Think about how many times you've engaged in gossip about even someone you love in order to acquire support from someone else for your side. I had lunch with someone yesterday I love dearly and who just needed to vent. And I realized my whole role there was just to listen. Thank goodness I realized that. I'm sure in a younger version of me, I didn't realize that, but I know now when someone's there, you just listen. And I heard all kinds of stories and things about what was going on that I really had no business knowing in the first place. But I also realized that this person was creating a evidence for their side. And I know I've done this. I can think of an instance myself when I caught myself doing it and went, no, I'm stopping this. This is not working for me. But we do it all the time, and it's human nature. But folks, this is not being impeccable with our word. Because we just, when we start being impeccable with our word, we just take responsibility for our piece. We know we can't change the other person. And then we approach everything with love, starting with ourselves. An opinion is nothing but a point of view. It's not necessarily true. And no matter how much you love that person or how well you know that person, when they're offering up their opinion, it's not necessarily the capital T truth. What is it they say? There are always three sides at least to every story, yours, mine, and the truth. Being impeccable with your word not only clears your mind and heart of the emotional poison we tend to carry around, it also gives you immunity from anyone putting a negative spell on you. I love that he calls these spells. Because that's kind of what we do. We just like a hex on you. This is what I think. Once you're being impeccable with yourself and others, your mind isn't fertile ground for negative thoughts and ideas. Blogger Renee Best suggests some ways, you know me, I always have a list of how you can make this better. She has some ideas about how you can be impeccable with your word. First, take time to listen. Try not to be eager to blurt out your own thoughts before others are finished. We get in trouble that way. Really tune in, which likely means putting your cell phone down, turning away from the computer, turning off the TV, and looking them right in the eye when they're talking to you. Next, try taking at least 5 to 10 seconds to truly pause and think about what another person has said before you respond. This is always a good idea. This might be difficult since we've grown used to getting really fast responses to everything lately. And taking more time to respond might cause a little bit of anxiety to some people because we've learned not to like empty spaces. But as you keep practicing it, they'll probably come to appreciate the fact that you're listening, that you're taking your time, and you're being thoughtful before you say anything. Next, practice using immediate responses of your own favorite words to show people that you are listening. Phrases like, that's so interesting, or wow, fascinating, or that's terrific. Or can you tell me more about that? Or that's appalling. Or gosh, that's a terrible challenge. Notice that these phrases do not launch into a competitive story from you about something that happened to you. In fact, make a rule that you never counter with a story of your own, or even that you don't start your response with I. It'll change your communication. Next, choose your words slowly and carefully. Even those few extra seconds can save you from saying something inappropriate. You know, you can't unring the bell, they say. Or sometimes we talk so fast what we say doesn't make sense, even to us when it comes rolling out. So you may even want to say something like, let me think about that. And you might even notice that you start to talk less and listen more. And finally, think of your words as a contract. Think what it would be like if you actually had to live up to what you say and how it might cause you to speak differently. If you tell someone, I'll be there, but don't mean it, what are the repercussions of that? Well, people trust you less, they invite you less, and they think you're flaky, and they simply don't think your words have much value. Practice saying things that are only saying things that are true. Like, I'll try to be there, or whatever is honest, even if it's no, I won't be able to do it. And by the way, you don't have to explain that. Even if they ask you why, you just say, I won't be able to be there. You're not obligated to. You can even say, I have other plans, and those other plans may be to stay home by yourself and watch Netflix. But you don't have to explain, but you'd be telling the truth that you won't be able to be there. When we begin to use our word as a way to implement our deepest belief system, it will be impeccable. Because most of us will use our word in a way that is compassionate, accepting, loving, as well as forgiving. We'll do less gossiping and be more supportive. We'll recognize the uniqueness of ourselves and others, and yet the oneness that binds us together as spiritual beings having a human experience. Keeping our agreements is a very important part of life. It creates our relationships and builds trust. The first agreement provides a strong foundation for us. As with every spiritual practice, it takes just that, practice. But as you begin to master the first agreement, you can create and live your very best, authentic life by being impeccable with your word. Thank you.
Question, do you still sending out those pinpoints on the email if someone is giving you their email? If you repeat that one more time, just so everybody.
Yeah, Dave was asking it, whenever anybody asks me if they can have the lists or points, or occasionally somebody even asks for my notes, I'm happy to send those to you. If you just give me your email, I will send those to you. So I asked Reverend Ada to do the meditation whenever I'm here and she's here, because we love her meditations. So she's going to come and do that today.
Thank you, Betty, for the width of your expression. I'm amazed by that. There's always such breadth, so much more deepening than I could think of. And I see heads nodding, so that must be how everybody feels. I think we're very blessed to have Betty. I've been asked to do the meditation. And you know, in unity, we believe in silence, to center yourself, to become still, become aware what's going on in your mind, what's going on in your heart. So that's what I would like to do today. So settle down in your chair, feet flat on the floor, hands preferably unclasped, being as loose and open and receptive as you can be. And we often become more still when we control our breathing. We talk about deep breathing, which is very much misunderstood. We don't breathe in deep. We need to breathe out deep to make a room, create a vacuum for the breathing in. So if you breathe in, make sure now you breathe out like all the way down. And breathe in normal and out. Okay, and once more. In gently and gently out, but with a purpose. We've heard so many words and so many ideas, but unity used to call itself School of Practical Christianity, in other words, practice. So about these impeccable words, let's start with ourselves. In the silence of your own mind, explore what is the story you're saying to yourself. Let's begin with that. Find out what's living in our minds and our hearts about us.
Ho, ho, ho,
And there will be many stories, but I would like you to pick just one, whatever it is, of the I am. And I want you to take the complete opposite of it. If you said, I'm stupid, then you can say, I am wise, or I'm knowledgeable. Whatever it is, your story, take the opposite and make that your story. That's practice. With the word of your new story, breathe in And when you breathe out silently to yourself, speak that word. I am. Take another breath. And when you breathe out, I am. And in Philippians it said, with thanksgiving. So now we give thanks for the understanding, for the opportunity to grow, to become more and more aware of our basic identity, spirit, a spiritual being having a human experience, but we guide the human experience with our words. And so it is. Amen.